Hello and welcome to a showcase video of a work in progress game called Mansion of Madness. This is a game, single player game for solitary, where you're gonna have investigators entering this mansion full of horror and madness, and you will try to find the main clues and uncover the secrets which happening in this building. And then you also have to fight usually some kind of epic monster or outer god, one of the old ones. So it is a Lovecraftian game. Now it's still work in progress, which means what I'm showing you here is just beginning of the game. I still don't have all the rooms. I also lack some tokens, some items, but I just want to show you how the game should work so you get a feeling what I'm working on. So what I have for now is these two boards. One is for placing these room cards, because mansion is full of rooms and each room is the encounter. Basically, you enter the room and there is some encounter and test you need to do. There is also this board which you have dice. This game uses dice which you manipulate in all kind of ways, and as you use them they get exhausted, some of them get lost. These exhausted dice can be brought back to the board and used again, and so on and so on. Here we have story cards. This is like an intro, because as you can see, I made this to be like an old 8-bit game with pixelated graphics. So push start button and start the game, and then you see the intro, then you choose the investigators. As you can see, all investigator like pixelated, so pixelated graphic, that's what I used. So we have 12 investigators. These are double-sided cards. On one side is the investigator with their sanity value, name, and special ability, and the other side is a little story about them and a lost negative effect if they get lost during their movement through the mansion, because that can happen. And here are some tokens used for the game. These are called test modifier tokens, and these are the number which you have of them. So 3 blacks, 3 white, 2 green, orange, yellow, and purple, 2 terror tokens, and 1 auto fail token. These all goes into the bag. So I'm gonna put it here, and they get shuffled. They're gonna be placed on these little placeholders around the place where you're placing the rooms, and this will randomize the tests for each room. So every time, even if you play the same room, it's going to have a different kind of a test. These tokens here are insanity and expenditure tokens, which means whenever you use your special ability, you place this token over it so you know you've done it. It could be only done once per turn when you are inside the room. Or if you get insane, you place this over your ability and you cannot use it anymore unless you manage to cure your insanity. So we're gonna need these tokens. I'm gonna put them close by. This is the lead investigator token. I'm gonna explain how that works. We also have some tokens for clues. Standard green one with the image of spyglass, or how it's called, and sanity tokens, which you use to track the sanity of your investigator. So what I lack here is items, which I don't have yet, and purple rooms, and more yellow and red rooms. I can show you. There are 3 types of rooms: yellow, red, and purple. Right now I don't have any purple. I only made 8 of yellow and 8 of red. I call them that because they have this little outline over, and they should be they are color coded by their toughness. So these are the easier to do. Then they have a like medium, and then hard purple. I don't have any of these yet. Anyway, you would go to the story, like it's a little intro. You just flip the cards and read it, and then you set it aside. It's just a fluff, you don't actually need it. But you make your mansion by taking number of cards from this deck. And let's say I'm playing an easy game. I need 4 cards for every deck. Right now I'm just gonna take 4 of these and 4 of these. You set aside the rest. And this is my mansion. Then you purple on the bottom, red atop the purple, and yellow atop the red, and you form a deck of your mansion. You place it here and it says next room, and then when you draw it, you place it here. You enter in the room, and when you finish, you place it here. That was the previous room where you were. There's no backtracking. You just basically this is just a discard pile. Also, you would draft your investigators, and this is how it goes. You're gonna shuffle all 12 of them, then you're gonna draw 3 and choose one to take. So for this one, I'm gonna take Angela Dover. So you discard other 2, then you draw another 3, and I might take Dr. Theo Allen. These have a really powerful abilities, but they have really low sanity, so that's the problem with them. So I think I'm gonna keep these. So now I have someone who has a good sanity, and I think it's gonna be Li Min. So she has a 4, because if 2 or more of your investigators go insane, you lose the game. So you probably want to have some. Okay, so these are the last 3. I might take this guy, Preston Wheel. All right, so these are my investigators. They have special abilities they can do once per room if they are inside the room. So for instance, if I enter with Theo and other investigators waiting outside, I can only use Theo's special ability. On the other side, as I said, they have a little story. Dr. Theo Allen, prominent doctor from Arkham that had some dealings with a case of a resurrected warlock that had took a small city of Dwayne under his tyrannical rule. So they all have a backstory, how they got there. Angela Dover, student of Dr. Theo Allen. Angela was a witness to the horrific effects of Dexter Ward's concoction. Later, she applied as an anthropologist involved in Arctic expedition. Anyway, special abilities. She can recall 1 green die. He can recall 1 yellow die. Li Min can duplicate 1 green die, and Preston can duplicate 1 orange die. You'll see how that works very soon. I'm gonna keep this close by, and this one, and then I'm gonna put their sanity. You put them over the number or above, doesn't really matter. So 2 for Angela, 2 for Theo. This is how you track their sanity with these little tokens. 4 for Min, and 4 for, how is this guy called? Preston Wheel. As they lose sanity, you remove it. If you remove all the sanity, they become insane, in which case you have to take this token, flip it, and put it over their abilities so they cannot use it anymore. And then I also need to reroll all of these dice at the beginning of the game because they are randomized. So let's do that. And I suggest you put them like same color in the row or column, doesn't really matter, as long you have a good look at them, what are their values. So these dice are rolled at the beginning of the game, and later on they will not be rolled. You'll see how you can actually get them back if you exhaust them. This is your resources. Dice are your resources you're gonna use for tests. And lastly, you need to reroll these blessed and cursed die and place them back. They cannot be of the same value. So if I get the doubles, I need to reroll them again. So my blessed die is 5, my cursed die is 1. Interesting. And one more thing for the setup. You shuffle these tokens and then you place them on these placeholders, A, B, C, D, E, F. You just randomize them any way you want, doesn't really matter. These are test modifiers and they will tell you which dice to use. So test C will demand for me to use only green dice. D needs only purple dice, E needs yellow. D is black means you can use, it must be same color but any value, which means let's say I need an 8 for a test. Well, if I don't have, and must be same color, let's say, so if I don't have something that's going to give me 8 but at least can be same color, I cannot use one die because that's not going to give me 8. Dice go up to 6. I can take 2 dice, just need to be same color, could be 2 and a 3, and I can use that in this test. And there is a white one that basically means value must be exact but could be any color. So this give me option like take one color but any dice values, and the other one is basically it must be exact value but any color. Alright, and this is auto fail, which means if there is a test with a B and I enter that room, I'm gonna fail that test. And this is the removed, we get a new one and we'll see how that works. So how the turn works. First, you're gonna choose which investigator is gonna enter the room. You can enter the room by up to 3 investigators. One of them need to be the lead investigator. So, and how do you decide when you don't know the room? Well, you probably want to check the colors here. So I know I have some guys and girls that can manipulate green and yellow colors, and there are 2 tests like C and E that gives me green and yellow. Well, this could be any. So maybe I want to be entering the room with Theo as a lead investigator, followed by, let's say, well, let's not go with Angela because not much sanity. Let's go with Li Min, and maybe only 2 of them. Okay, so only 2 of them is gonna enter the room. Okay, so I place this on them so I know they are entering the room. Once they use ability, I just cover it when they use it. So there's my 2 investigator with Theo Allen is the lead investigator. So that's the first thing you do. Second thing, you draw a room card, you flip it, and then you resolve it, going from top to bottom. On the top is the image of the room with 2 tests. We see there's a test marked with B and it demands value of 8. This must be exact value. In this case, I can only do it with 2 dice, right? Maybe even 3 or multiple dice, but you probably want to use less dice. It just as long their sum is 8. And for the test on B, it's an auto fail. So I will fail that test. I will not be able to do it. And that's a gain on 1 item. So that's going to be auto fail, sadly. But there is a test number D, which demand purple dice. And these red tests, if I don't do them, they're gonna execute. If I do them, I'm gonna stop whatever the bad thing is. This one's gonna reroll a cursed die. So if I don't do this test, it's just gonna reroll a cursed die. It's not a big deal, so fine. But this room also has the enter effect. So once I enter, this will happen immediately. It says reroll all purple dice. So we take the purple dice and we're gonna reroll them. And here's the first problem. Whenever you have to reroll dice, okay, the new values that you're gonna roll, you have to check them with your blessed and cursed die. When I reroll these dice, any one, so anything that equals the cursed die by value, will be lost. I'm gonna put it here in the lost dice. These are lost forever till the end of the game. But any die that is equal to the blessed die, like a 5, will be able to get back on the board. But anything that is not 5 or 1 will be in the exhausted dice. So right now I'm probably gonna get lots of exhausted dice. Some of them might even be lost. So I'm looking for 5s and I don't want 1s. Alright, so I didn't get any 5s, so none of them is gonna go back on the board, but none of them also gonna be lost. Now they are only exhausted, so you put them here. You don't change their values, it's really important. You keep them like this. Exhausted dice. I cannot use them, sadly. But fear not, because oh damn, I don't have any options actually. So I can recall yellow dice with this ability, but no yellow dice to recall. And I can duplicate green dice, which basically means I can turn this green dice into any other dice that is on the board. So I can turn this 5 into 6 if I wanna. As long as I have a value to duplicate, I can do that. Alright. Let's see some other things that's gonna happen in this room. So if I do both of these tests, we do not execute this last thing on the bottom of the card. Lose 1 clue. Now I don't have any clues, but in this game, whenever you have to lose something, a clue, an item, you lose sanity instead. And who is it apply on? On the lead investigator. So I can already tell you that I'm gonna lose some sanity here, because I can either do this thing, because it's gonna be auto fail. I can immediately resolve that, so no item, just put this aside. And I cannot do the D because it needs purple dice, and I just don't have any purple dice. They're all exhausted. I don't have any character that can actually get purple dice back. Should probably take some, but that's my problem. And also you see here this little icon above the investigator. This means that 1 green dice when we finish with this room will be exhausted, put into the exhausted pile. So it's gonna happen after we exit the room. Okay, after we exit the room, which means I will not be able to bring it back by my special abilities or anything. So just by entering here, I can see a big failure, which I cannot do nothing here. But that sometimes happens. So let's do the other thing. So I cannot do this test, it's an auto fail. This one I don't have any dice to do. I have to lose 1 clue because of that, because I didn't finish. If I finish both of these tests, anything on the bottom doesn't happen. I cannot do it, so I lose 1 sanity. And who's going to lose sanity? Well, it's a lead investigator, so Dr. Theo loses 1 sanity here. And I cannot use any of my abilities because they didn't demanded green or yellow dice. What's worse, one of these die will be exhausted. So I can take any of these. I'm going to take a 1. You'll see why. And then when we finish with the room, there will be something called auto recall, where you're gonna take all the dice that are exhausted, roll them, and if I get any 5s, back on the board. If I get any 1s, they are lost. Alright, so I don't lose any dice, but I also don't gain any back on the board, which is kind of problematic because I don't have any purples. But yeah, that's it. I cannot do nothing else. But here's the good news. Each test that was part of the room is, each token that was used for that test is set aside. So these also set aside. Then you put this into previous rooms. You draw new tokens and place them. Let's place this one here and this one. No, not the purple one. Then you shuffle this back into the bag. So tests gonna always change. Basically, the tests that were used or not will always, those tokens will always be placed aside. Get the new one, then you shuffle them back. All right, and these guys return. They didn't manage to do much into that room. And again, we are on the question which investigator is going to enter the next room. So I think it's going to be Lee Min as a lead investigator and Angela Dowell as a helper, because I do have 2 greens, although there are some yellow too, maybe, but this professor is already, well, let's push him in again. Go into the next room. So these 3, this is the maximum number of investigators you can send into the room. Okay, let's draw a room. Let's see. Oh, you enter a large foyer. Okay, let's see what kind of tests we have. A is gain a clue, which is basically just need to be any value, but must be same color. Okay, so I can use a 2, even if it says 5. It just must be the same color. And the 5, this is something that I don't have to make with the sum, because dice go from 1 to 5. So I can use a green one to do that if I want to, and I will get a clue. D is purple, which I cannot do. Because I cannot recall my purple with my characters, sadly. Although there is one option. Oh, this is only for green dice. Yeah, for some reason I didn't take any. Should have took at least some characters that helped me with the purple. This was my big mistake. So I cannot do this one unless some of these get auto recall back onto the room, onto the board. Discard next room card, and then give me ability just to skip one room, which is not bad. And lastly, E is one of these bad things that if you don't do it, this red will happen. -1 to all red dice. So all my red dice will be turned. This will turn into 2. This will turn. Now, if it has to go lower than 1, it is lost. Okay, because it is basically destroyed. So if I had a 1 here and I need to lower it by 1, it would be 0, so it is lost. Lucky for me, I don't have any, but prospect of these dice that's going to go to -1 is also bad. But it is E, yellow, and I can do something with yellow. I can recall yellow. So what do I need here? It's a 3. So do I have a yellow 3? I do. So I can do that one. So I think the Theo is gonna do this. Well, it doesn't really matter. It's not investigator, but he has some special ability. So I'm gonna take a number 3, put it in an exhausted. Well, actually, you should put it like here, close to the token where you used the test. So yellow 3 I will do that one, and this means I will not have to lose 1 pip for every red dice, -1. Okay, so that's good. And let's resolve that. So that goes to exhausted. So that one test I'm gonna do. Now I can, well, it could be also here, doesn't really matter. It's any dice that is used for test or here, they are also exhausted. Then I'm gonna use my special ability with here. Also, this should be like this. going to immediately use his special ability. I'm going to recall one yellow die. And recalling die is just bringing it back without reroll, without anything, without using their value. So I just got back these 3. So perfect. And this is done. Now let's see what else we can do. So I can gain a clue. That needs to be same color, but any value as long it is. Don't have to use 2 dice, and I don't have to. So I might actually take 1 green because I can recall it. So I'm going to use a 3 green here. I'm going to gain a clue. Now clues goes into inventory for all the investigators. That's something you can use, like everybody can use the clues. They're common like item. And let's see, I will use my special ability and I'm gonna recall. Now I can recall either this one or I can recall this one. Maybe I want a 4, that's a better value, and this one will be exhausted then. And lastly, I can duplicate 1 green die, which means I can turn any of these dice into anything here. So right now I'm not gonna do that. I actually like this spread 2, 3, and 4, maybe later, so I don't have to use this special ability. Alright, so we done that, we done this one. We can't do the D, just can't get any purples. And what's worse, we would now, when we dealing with this, investigator is lost. Oof, that's a bad thing. Because I can do all of these, test, the bottom part will happen. And who's gonna be lost? Well, the lead investigator. So Theo, Dr. Theo Allen, no, actually Lee Min will be, she was the lead. She will be lost. Alright, so let's do that. Well, that's a sad thing to happen, but I cannot do nothing about that. So she is lost. This investigator is also returned. And another purple die needs to be put in the rerolled. No, not reroll, just put exhausted. This icon here means with the shutter die means exhausted. But they're all exhausted, so nothing happens there. And we are finished with that room. So auto recall will now happen. So I'm looking for 5s and I don't want to look, I don't want to get any 1s. And what do you know? I just lost 2 dice. And these are still exhausted. So I have a big problem with the purple dice. Alright, and let's see what happens when someone is lost. Now, so from now on, from next room and as long as I don't find investigator, green dice can't be used for tests. So another problem for me. Unless I find Lee Min. Now, how do you can find these lost investigators? Well, this is what we have clues for. Let me tell you what the clues can be used for. Just a second. The clue ability, 2 clues can be spent to recall 1 destroy die. So one of these lost dice. I should change this into lost die, I guess. So if I spend 2 clues, I can get 1 of these back. 3 clues can be spent to avoid resolving 1 room. It's called escape. So if I have 3 clues, I can just escape the room. Nothing happens bad. I just skip the room basically. 2 clues can be spent to find 1 investigator that is lost. So if I had another clue, I would be able to find Lee Min in the mansion again. And 1 clue can be spent to change 1 die value into a value of player choice. So basically, I can change each value, but kind of useless right now. Well, it is. depending, like right now I can duplicate orange, but let's say I need a yellow of a specific value. Maybe I need a yellow 6. Well, I can use a clue and do that. Just turn the dice to 6. And I'm gonna stop here. That this is just a showcase. I just need to finish all the rooms, but you can already see how the game works. I'm a big problem because when I was drafting these investigator, you should probably have all the colors. Or not be locked in like I am now. But what will happen next? We would put this into discard, draw 2 new tokens here, shuffle this back, and we will continue entering the mansion. Now, how do you win a game and how do you lose a game? Well, to win a game, you have to pass all the rooms, you have to deplete this deck, and you have to have at least some dice left. So if you have to enter the new room and you don't have any dice, you immediately lose the game. If 2 or more of your investigators goes insane, you also immediately lose the game. If more than basically if all 4 investigators get lost, you also lose the game. So the only way to win is to basically pass all the room. But here's the thing: once you pass a room of same colors, so right now we had like 4 yellow, then there is a 4 red rooms, 4 purple. Once you finish with all the rooms with 1 color, you get a major clue. I need to add those too. Those are in the separate bag, and you drew 1 and place it, and the sequence is very important because depending on that sequence, how you drew them, what sequence as you pass the room, this is what will give you it's gonna tell you which boss at the end of the game you're gonna fight. That little sequence of the major clues, and then you would draw a card of the boss and you would fight the boss, but I'm gonna explain that when I actually put the bosses in the game. So as you can see, not an easy, this is actually easy settings, but not an easy if you don't plan correctly, and difficulty is based around number of the room cards. So for easy game it's 4 of each, for medium game is 5 of each, and for really hard game you have 6 of each. So either you go through 12 rooms, through 15 rooms, or through 18 rooms. And then you also have to fight the boss. So thanks for watching. I still have to continue working. It's not easy to turn this into little pixelated images. That's actually what takes the most of the time. Also, I'm trying to keep some direction so these rooms have a good matte, so they are kind of balanced. We'll see about that too. In any case, I played the game already. I have a like little table and I randomize the rooms based on them, and then I go through them even if I don't have a game. So that gives me a good feeling how many dice I'm losing per room. Usually it's something like this. I mean, it is possible to survive by, recalling things and be good at prediction. But again, lots of luck is involved, but it can be overcome by some planning of which of these special abilities you're going to use at the right time. So as I said, thanks for watching. You'll see this is a still work in progress, and once I get the full game, you're going to have a playthrough and you're going to see the full game, how everything works. I may even probably going to be some changes. So as I said, this is just a showcase video. It's a VIP game, so lots of things needs to be done. So see you next time, and goodbye.